Welcome to Voices of CFMA, Construction Financial Management Association's podcast, sponsored by Profix, featuring conversations with our members and our staff. I'm your host, Kate Platt, CFMA's Marketing Manager. This month, I am joined by Jenny Spriggs, CFMA's Director of Meeting Services, to talk about what goes into planning our annual conference and more about her. Hi, Jenny. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
So let's just jump in right away. And how did you get involved with CFMA? How did you end up here?
In 2013, I started off the CFMA's annual conference as a contractor, just for on-site. I live in between Baltimore and DC, not very close to New Jersey. So they hired me for just for the on-site 2013. When we got back, a few months later, they hired me to assist the director of meetings at the time for the 2014 conference. And she didn't work out, and I worked it out with Stuart, and I became an employee.
And it's been magic ever since.
So I used to work for AGC. That's the connection, is I used to work for AGC years ago. And AGC's one of their director of meetings was my mentor. So she's been planning the AGC CFMA conference for 20 some years now. So Stuart had reached out to her, and she reached out to me, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. We're so excited to have you, and you've always been planning our events. What is the most challenging part of planning our annual conference?
The most challenging part of all of it, I would say, is the scheduling. It's making sure that all of our sessions are adequately scheduled, and we don't have too many competing sessions or session topics, especially. And the room sizes, making sure that we have adequate seating to make sure that it all flows nicely. And I will say that in this year, 2022, it's going to be a little bit even trickier with the pandemic and social distancing measures.
And what's the most fun part about planning our conference? What do you look forward to?
Oh, it's, of course, it's planning the networking events. It's the welcome receptions and the golf tournaments and the fun stuff that everybody wants to go to. And of course, the closing night party. That's all. That's where the creativity gets to come out. And that's the fun part, is putting it all together. My favorite thing about it all, though, is just there's a lot of work that goes into it. And my favorite part of the conference is usually Sunday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning. There's always one time when people are registering, the exhibitors are building their booths, sessions are going, and everything is just flowing smoothly, that I can take a step back and just look at it and breathe and see how it all comes together magically. I don't know how it always does, but it does. It's magic. And that's my favorite part. There's that one moment of time that it just makes me, breathe and smile for everything that is transpiring, and thankful for the staff that we have that helps me put it all together.
Profix software centralizes all your financial data, including ERP, CRM, HR, estimating, and project management for a complete view of company performance. Contact Profix to learn how we can help better manage your project's cash forecasting, WIP reporting, margin fade, and equipment utilization.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So when you get that opportunity to step back and breathe in and smile at an accomplishment, it's something that we've always talked about in the office, is just that opportunity to see friendships growing and people connecting at conference. What's that like, on the planning side, to see, people connecting and making lifelong friends?
It's one of the things I love about CFMA. I've worked for AGC before, and I loved AGC too, but CFMA has a different dynamic. CFMA is more about the people, our members, the individual, and not just a company. And it definitely has an amazing feel. I like to tell this story of one special member who will always be special to me is Carol Hagan. In 2013, when I was on site, I didn't know anybody prior to getting on that plane except for Stuart Benstock. I got out there, and the feel itself was just different. But our closing night party, everyone was very nice. Everybody, you know, I had people who didn't know me ask me if I needed help. But I remember distinctly our closing night party. It's at the Air and Space Museum, and everything was up and running, and things were going smooth, and I could settle down and take a breath for a minute. And I sat down at a table, and I was by myself. And Carol Hagan came up to me, and I'd never spoken to her before, and she just introduced herself, and she sat there and talked to me for about an hour. We had a couple drinks, and the fact that she just came up to me, and she was my first CFMA friend. So she's an amazing member. But what's even more amazing is that, you know, the longer I've been here, the more I see all of our members are like that. And the friendships and the relationships that they build is just amazing to see. It's a community that like none other. I adore our members. I really do. We have some good people, and the friendships are all there.
I have to say, I had a very similar experience. My first conference, I was at the closing night party, and I was standing alone to my side, and I will never forget the member who walked up to me, introduced themselves, and just made me feel welcome, because that conference experience can be overwhelming your first time.
Mm-hmm.
And
It can be.
It's really nice to know that when you show up alone like that, the members just open their arms and welcome you.
They do. And I see it every year when there's, you know, when somebody is, especially a new member or a first time attendee, when they're alone, I've seen it time and time again where one of our members just go up and welcome them. And, you know, I don't even know if Carol knew that I was the meeting plan, like a meeting plan. I don't know. I have no idea. But she just saw somebody by themselves, and she came up and made a friend, and she will always have a little special place in my heart for her. She you know, she didn't have to, but she did. But that's just, most of our members are like that.
So before I let you go back to your workday, Jenny, I have one final question.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is all about, you know, advice and work and getting to know you. So we want to know, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It was early on in my career. It was, I mean, it's such a slang now, or it's not a slang, but it's a meme. Keep calm and don't sweat the small stuff. And it's true. Things are going to happen. Life is messy. Conferences are messy. It doesn't matter how perfectly you plan something. This is in life, or especially with conferences. It does not matter how much planning goes into it, how many times you double check, triple check something, all your details, something's going to happen. And what you can't do is you can't get upset and start yelling and hollering. You have to stay calm and get through it. You have, by you remaining calm, the people around you stay calm. And I learned it early on. When you start getting upset because of something that it doesn't matter whose fault it is, it just, you have to get through it. But if you get upset and angry, it makes that other person tense, and it makes it harder for that person to get through whatever the situation is. So you know, at the end of the day, you just have to stay calm and pick up the pieces and fix it, whatever it is. And then when it's over, then you can go back and, I don't yell, but go back and figure out what happened. But just staying calm and trying to get through the messy, because it's going to happen.
I think that's great advice, get through it and then deal with the fallout.
You do. So you just go back and retrace what happened so it doesn't happen again. But getting upset and yelling at people is never fixes the issue. Yeah.
Well, Jenny, I appreciate you taking time out to talk to us about your career with CFMA and planning the conference. For those of you interested in attending CFMA's annual conference and exhibition, we will be holding it this year in Atlanta, Georgia, May 14th through 18th. And stay tuned for details about registration coming soon. For the latest information about conference updates, head to conference.cfma.org and sign up for our notification list. And don't forget to tune in February for our next episode of Voices of CFMA.